Unclear.
So we are very, very pleased to have you with us tonight and very honored. And we know your time's limited. I've got 3 questions that I'd like to ask, but there are some people in the room that probably haven't heard you. Would you please just basically give them a little bit of background about yourself and how you became involved?
Sure. Yeah, I just had my 10th year anniversary with Asea a couple of weeks ago. I got involved because I was looking for what Asea had. I was actually, um, you know, I was attracted because of the business model, quite frankly. If it wasn't for the products, though, I wouldn't have been attracted to the business model. So I guess it was, maybe a 50-50 deal. I had been in network marketing before, had been with the company, had moderate success, and then had just kind of gotten pulled away from it in my medical career and found that I was working way too hard, way too many hours. I was an emergency physician. I enjoyed being an emergency physician, but I realized, I was 64 years old and I realized I couldn't continue that pace of work. I was working, sometimes 60 hours a week in a very busy emergency room. I was a director of the ER, and I was at the peak of my career, but I had no freedom. I was always working. And my wife was a dental hygienist, so I worked a lot of nights. She worked mostly days. We didn't see each other all that much. We had 4 kids, and things were pretty hectic. But I knew there was probably a company out there that I could latch onto, but it had to be something new. It had to be something that had efficacy. It had to be something unique. It had to be something that I knew people needed and would help people. And Asea really hit on about 10 different criteria that I had on a checklist. I'd have to pull that checklist out to tell you exactly what was on there. About half of it was on the company and business opportunity. About half was on the technology. And so I had gone to a couple of opportunity meetings. People were telling me some incredible things. After the meetings, I would always kind of get together with those people out in the hallway and quiz them, from a medical point of view, what was going on here. And I was pretty satisfied that they were having really dramatic results, oftentimes with some really complex and difficult problems to deal with. My background was, I am a MD. I'm board certified in internal medicine, emergency medicine. I also have a master's degree in preventive medicine and nutrition. And so I kind of ride both horses, prevention alternatives and Western medicine. And so this product is kind of unique because it could very well have been a pharmaceutical product, but Vertus Norton decided he wasn't going to go down that avenue with it. And yet it's totally safe and really fits the mode of a supplement as well. And so I found a product here that was just unlike anything else I'd ever seen. And then I spent the next 2 years developing with a technology that seemed to help everything, because in medicine, the only thing that helps everything is the placebo effect. Not everything works for everything, and yet Asea does. But once I finally figured out how it worked at the cellular level and understood it, that was really a no-brainer, because the way it works, it can help pretty much everything health-wise to improve. I already love the business model, and Asea's had, there are some MLM business models that that have problems, and Asea had solved all of those and had a hybrid business model that just really made a lot of sense to me. One of the most important things was that they paid weekly. And if you're going to start to build an income that you're going to rely on, I like the weekly paychecks. And I knew that when I was recruiting in the other business, it was a monthly thing, and that was a problem for a lot of people. So a weekly paycheck is a really strong point in the Asea business model, along with a number of other things. So, I found a company I could call home, and I found a product that I could promote, and I knew that that pretty much everybody in the world would benefit from. And I went to work. And I've never looked back. In a couple of years, I was making enough money that I could, well, in a year, I was making enough money I could cut back substantially at work. I gave up the directorship of the ER. I just didn't want that responsibility anymore because I was busy building my Asea business. And then another year and a half after that, I retired from the ER and just did a little part-time locum tenens work, and otherwise was building my Asea business and just loved it. And my wife joined me once we got to the diamond level. Nancy, who had just sort of been watching from the sidelines, but using the product and having great experiences with it, joined me in the business once I hit that diamond level. She had things that she was doing, and she decided to close down some of that part of what she was doing and join me in the Asea business. So we now do it together and just love it. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. So I've got a couple of questions that I've been thinking about during the day, stuff that, we talk to people all the time and they ask us things. My first one is, we are bombarded daily with professional ads telling us about health products to solve all of our problems. So what makes Redox any different? In other words, why is that something that is extraordinary compared to everything else that we hear that is so wonderful?
Well, because the Asea works, number one, and a lot of those other things don't. And a lot of those other things are aimed at one specific problem, just like the pharmaceutical industry. Drugs are aimed at a narrow spectrum of what they can help you with, and a lot of those products out there are also. There isn't another product with the efficacy of Asea, and there isn't another product with as broad a range of health problems that will be addressed with Asea. So, there's a lot of hype and quite frankly, marginally true statements made for a lot of those products that you see mass marketed on television, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Got another one here. Some people will try using Redox for a period of time because they have a condition they want to resolve. Is that really the right strategy for overall health?
No, the way to look at Redox is as a lifestyle choice for the rest of your life. I mean, why would you want to go back to having the health that you had before you started on the Redox supplement and took care of a number of those problems? Because in some regards, Asea is able to help your body fix certain things, but they're not going to stay fixed if you don't maintain the repair and replace functions of Asea. And then a lot of other things that Asea helps you with is it's just helping your body work on a day in, day out basis. And if you stop using it, you're going to go back to where you were before. And so Asea is, as far as I am concerned, a long-term product. Now, I mean, you can use it, get those benefits, and then stop, but chances are that somewhere down the line, those problems are going to come back knocking at your door, and you're going to have to deal with them over again. And generally speaking, when they come back, they're going to be worse than they were the first time. And so it just makes really good sense to stay on the product. Both my wife and I, Nancy and I, have been on this product for 10 years. We've never taken less than 8 ounces a day. And sometimes, and in the last couple of years, as we've gotten older, we take more. We open a bottle of Asea pretty much a bottle every other day. And so, and sometimes a little earlier than that, it sits on the counter. We take our morning dose, and then throughout the day, when we think of it, we'll drink another couple of ounces. And so, and our health is just, it shows it. I mean, we just are way healthier than we were 10 years ago when we started this. And physiologically, I think we're way younger. I've got a presentation I was going to do Saturday morning on Asea and aging, and our internet went out. We had a windstorm and our internet was out Saturday morning. So probably not this Saturday, but the next Saturday I'll give that. But, my opening slide says Asea Redox, and then the subtitle to that is have we discovered the fountain of youth? ? I think the answer, most people are going to look at that presentation and say, if it's not, it's pretty close. And so aging is the #1 risk factor for all of us for most of the chronic and degenerative diseases that cause problems in humankind. Age is that major risk factor. And the reason we age is because we end up with a deficit of redox signaling molecules. That's now pretty much was a theory 10 years ago. It's now pretty much shown to be true that what causes aging is a decline in the number of redox molecules made in our body. And now we have a bioidentical bioreplenishment technology that can help us a great deal with that.
Wow. Okay, and so I'm starting a new business now, and I'm not really knowledgeable about the biochemistry and all of the medical terminology, but I think this is something really, but as a starting off business guy, and I'm thinking, how much effort do I have to invest into this, and will it really be worth it? What do you see, and what would you say to people that are just starting off and thinking, should I really put all my eggs in this basket, or is this something worth my investing my time in? Will this, will this be something that I will 5 years down the road look back and go, man, am I glad I got on that wave? As a business, what would you see in the future? What do you expect in the future?
Well, I'm doing that, and I've been involved for 10 years, and I suspect in another 5 or 10 years, I'll be even more grateful for what this has done for us. I just had a very pleasant reminder of that yesterday when my accountant called me. Jim, you'll appreciate that, because he called me and he said, "Hey, Dick, I've got to give you a big check here either this month or next month out of your retirement plan." And I said, "I don't need it." And he said, "Well, the government says you got to take it." So I haven't been taking enough for my minimum draw or whatever, because they want to get their tax money out of it. So I've got to take a really big bonus check this month or next month. And we're looking at that and saying, what are we going to do with that? Are we going to pay off a little more debt? Or are we going to play? Or are we going to take a vacation? Or are we going to put it in our grandkids' college fund? Or, how many times does an almost 74-year-old have the luxury of having a business that builds leverage reproductive income to the point where his 401k plan is just superfluous almost, because we're making such good money in ASEA that I would rather just let it sit there as a nest egg and accumulate tax-free, but the government won't let me do it. So so when I told Nancy that, she's over visiting our grandkid, when I texted her and I said, "Nancy, we're going to get a heck of a big check here this month or next month before the end of the year." And she said, "Oh, wow, I wondered when that was going to come in." So that's the kind of thing that this business can do for you. And, we're not even keeping up with population growth with the new people getting on ASEA. And ASEA has some really interesting things in the works, developing websites for customers and that sort of thing. So it's going to get easier and easier to share ASEA with people. We're going to be opening up some new countries within the next year or two. There's stuff on the horizon there. The ASEA is going to grow their product base. I suspect in the cell performance line, there's a bunch of different categories there that could use some new products. The VIA line will expand, and our foundation product, redox signaling, I think will forever be our main technology. But there's still very few people in the world who are on ASEA. They're starting the word redox and redox biology, redox signaling is starting to gain some traction. But just, I guess here's maybe this will hit home for you. I would say that you don't run into anybody that doesn't know what antioxidants are, right? I mean, everybody knows what antioxidants are, and everybody has kind of an understanding that they're beneficial and they need them. Well, redox is even more important than that. And hardly anybody has heard about redox at this point in time. But will it be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years before redox is the Kleenex of supplements? Like Kleenex is the name brand of facial tissue, even though there's thousands of different brands of facial tissue. We're just scratching the surface here. And I just had a group at a fly-in at corporate, and they're capable, without doing anything other than running a couple more shifts, to double or quadruple their production in that facility that they have. So if we suddenly had a growth spurt, we're never going to have any back orders. Those big shipping containers that they put on the ships to move stuff around the world. Asea ships 3 full shipping containers a month to Malaysia alone. That's how much product is moved. That's just one of the Asian markets that we have. So there's a lot of Asea going out, but we still have just barely scratched the surface. And we just entered China in a different form of marketing, but that's going to get the word out in a big way in that population. And so the sky's the limit where you can go with this business opportunity. I'll tell you, it's as good now. It's maybe better than it was when I started, because when I started, we didn't really know what this was or how it worked. But now we know a lot more about that. And the science is pretty well settled, but still expanding. And don't waste your time trying to figure out in your head how this works. Just know that it does. And that there are people like me and a whole bunch of scientists around the world who are still studying redox and what it can do for you. And the skincare is a whole different avenue of approaching the redox biology of our skin and anti-aging and repairing photo damage. And I mean, we could have, there's four separate network marketing companies under Asea's roof. There's Asea Redox, there's Cell Performance, there's the skincare, and there's Via, and all of those could support a network marketing business. And yet we've got all 4 of them, and all 4 of them are capable of expanding over time.
Wow. Amazing information. Does anybody have a question?
Hey, yeah, we've got Velma online, has a question, Paul. Velma, can you unmute and ask your question?
Have to figure it out.
Let's see.
Is Velma
Hang
in the
on a
room?
second. Yeah.
Or she can put it in the chat too.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
brand new too.
Okay.
So I'm very new to Asea.
Have her get closer to your mic, Paul.
Hang on. I'm going to see if we can. I can't figure out how to unmute her. Just go ahead. Go ahead, Velma.
Okay, I'm not too sure.
And I'll repeat the question. Just go ahead.
I have a friend that his dad has 15% lung capacity, and he has to.
So there's a person on oxygen, 15% lung capacity,
And take like 12 medications, and I was telling him about.
taking 12 medications.
But he's basically saying, nothing about the lungs, but kind of from what I'm gathering, it can help.
So
That's my
I guess the question is, somebody in that kind of condition, and this is the question, is this something that could help them?
Absolutely. The only questions are how quickly and how much. But that particular problem, when Asea started, you've probably heard of the kind of study that they did where they gave it to about 40 people and that expanded to about 120 people in 33 countries, and that there were half a dozen people whose lives were really on the line when they started taking Asea during that, and they all had significant improvement. Several of those people were what we call end-stage pulmonary patients, and I've lost track of them, but 2 or 3 years later, they were all still alive because I ended up talking to a couple of them. I've got a good friend who has really bad respiratory issues. He was 8 years ago. Every 3 or 4 months, he had to see the head of the pulmonary department at the University of Washington in Seattle. He now sees him once a year only as a courtesy because they've become good friends. But his lungs have improved so much that he doesn't need that kind of attention anymore. So yeah, it can help. The body can take these molecules, put them to work, and help salvage the lung that's there and help repair some of the significant damage. He's never going to be an athlete or anything like that, but he may or may not ever get off of oxygen, but he's going to have a lot better chance of living and having improvement with the ASEA than anything else. And it's not going to interact with his medicines. He doesn't have to worry about that. He can just start taking the ASEA, and over time, and I'm talking months, he may not notice anything within 1, 2, or 3 months, but over 6, 8, 12 months, he's going to start to notice improvements.
Hey, Dr. Walker, could you please go ahead and give the medical disclaimer, please?
Yeah, see, it doesn't cure, heal, or treat anything, and that's why I say the body takes these molecules and puts them to work. But it doesn't in and of itself heal a pulmonary problem. What it does is improves all the cells in the body, goes where it's needed most, and helps those cells in a natural way to repair and to do a better job of what they're supposed to be doing. But it's not a drug. It's not intended to cure, heal, or treat anything. It's a supplement that allows the body to magnify what it already knows how to do.
Thank you. Phyllis, did you have a question? I see you
No.
unmuted. Okay.
No.
Dr. Walker, can you answer real quick why, and this will be, I really appreciate all your time, but why are younger people having health issues, and when should someone start taking these molecules? Hey, I'm healthy, I don't need it. What would you say?
Well, what we're seeing is younger and younger people developing diseases that we used to not see until they were much older. And I've noticed that throughout my career, that the patient population with serious chronic illness is getting younger and younger. And that's a product of our environment. It's a product of the diet that they're eating. It's a problem of lifestyle. It's a problem of, chemicals in our food and all. It's a very multi-faceted problem, but we are seeing that for sure with a number of different issues. We also know from some research that we've done that the problems with aging start at a much younger age than we used to think, in terms of genetic signaling and some really complex biological issues that we don't really need to discuss here. But that, we know that we used to think that didn't have to worry about aging until somebody hit 50 or 60. We now know that that problem is well along the way by the time you're 35 or 40. And so it's never too early to start ASEA. It's hard to convince somebody who thinks they're perfectly healthy that they should start on this. And yet it's the best preventive program that I'm aware of to keep your body in tip-top shape so that you don't have to worry about some of these problems that you're going to probably have to worry about if you don't.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc. Real quick, Beverly, one last question.
Dr. Walker, do you see people with autoimmune disorders? I've got a couple of them I know that don't really believe this would help them. How should we approach them about that to help them understand that it could help? I believe it can, but is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You remember that ASEA is a cell signaling technology, and the problem in autoimmune issues is a problem with cell signaling where the body is mistakenly attacking itself. And so we've seen ASEA be able to help the body to deal with those issues. And the other problem that we see in autoimmunity is a lot of inflammation. And ASEA helps your cells deal with what's called oxidative stress, which is a precursor to inflammation. And so on several different fronts, people that suffer from those types of problems are seeing benefits. And if you want to see some testimonies, just go to realredoxresults.com. There are a number of testimonies there from people that have autoimmune issues. So,
Jim, can you wrap it up?
Yeah, no, Dr. Walker is a dear friend. Nancy and his wife Nancy are absolutely amazing. Dr. Walker is part of the medical advisory board for this company. And he has always been so gracious, and I just want to say thank you. He has a wealth of knowledge. Not many more people understand. Also, we're not going to get into it, but also the key to nutrition. Again, the cell performance. So, Dr. Walker, I am going to call you back and have you on the Asea 5 because, again, he's one of the best guys out there, guys, and he's so gracious to give up his time. So, with that, Dr. Walker, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
Good night,
appreciate
everybody.
you.
It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
So much.
Thank you. Go ahead and stop the recording then, Paul.
Thank you, Dr. Walker.
All right, bye.